Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're very honored today to talk to Faraz Khan about his latest art exhibition at the Muslim Center of Greater Princeton. And I wanted to ask you, Faraz, where the idea came from to begin with, and what's the intention behind the exhibition.
Thank you for having me, first of all. Wa alaikum assalam. Art is something beautiful, and I believe that whatever internal beauty you have, you share it with the in external forms. And even in the Quran, when you look at concepts such as hasanat, good work, it's really beautiful work, the hasana, beauty. So I've been meaning to kind of come up with something that kind of reflects and puts a theme together, and so we called it Kashf, or the unveiling of this beautiful exhibition.
And what is your hope?
we hope for the best, but we prepare for the worst. We hope that this would, inshallah, jumpstart, launch a lot of the young people who are, I feel like they're on the sideline. They want to do we produce artworks here and there, but I want them to feel that this is your time, this is your opportunity. I'm here. I'm putting my work out there. Never be afraid. Share with people, and a lot of times I share with my colleagues and folks that I come in contact with that making art, creating art is only 50% of the work. The other 50% is really sharing.
Recently at the Muslim Center we had an interfaith celebration for the opening of the mosque, and the art exhibit was out, and I saw that our friends and neighbors who came from other faith communities were taking a very close look at the art, and they appreciated it a great deal, and it really spoke to them. And I've always thought that art is such a special way, unique way to allow people to enter into the Muslim community. And I know that you've done a lot of public Islamic art. And what has that looked like for you? Does that go through your mind when you're making the art, that this is for the public and not just for the Muslim community?
I think it's a very good question. As you mentioned, the art is beautiful, and people, whether they're of Muslim faith or other faiths, traditions, that they come in contact with art, they appreciate, specifically the Islamic art we talked about, because everybody has that internal, innate desire to seek beauty. And I think that's beauty in our actions, beauty in our speech, beauty in our work. We could call that art. And so when I'm looking at my work, there are specific examples where we're producing work that involves the Quranic verses, specific things like that. But it doesn't take away. There is no divide when it comes to secular and religious art. At least to me, it's all sacred. It's all beautiful. It's all about changing the world. It's all about this mega idea of, we're here and we have to produce these good works to kind of inspire people. And I think that was one of the beautiful things about the Islamic tradition, Islamic art, that we see. It all starts in the name of Allah. Bismillah is the word Allah, and you also find that it always has that awe-inspiring element to it. Look at grand scale Taj Mahal, the Dome of Rock, Blue Mosque. All these, they're very beautiful.
One of the pieces that got a lot of attention was the American flag, with the names of the states in Arabic and the stars. And I think that goes to your point of trying to close the gap between the sacred and the mundane, and to show beauty in the everyday symbols that people are already used to. And so one of the things that I've always wanted to ask you is that if you look at your art in particular, there's something very traditional about it, and there's something very contemporary about it. And my sense is that you've taken from the tradition, but you also want to open new windows and new ideas into the world of Islamic art, and to almost reimagine in some ways what Islamic art in quotation marks is.
Sure. I don't have to answer this. I think you've provided a great answer or a great statement. And that's in a ditto. This is how I look at it. And it is beautiful because what we have, if you look at traditional art, the calligraphy in particular, we find that you have very, the terms, the elements, the ratio, the proportions, everything is very specific, and very detailed, and it takes a lot of practice to learn that art. And the contemporary stuff, it tends to be very bold. Sometimes it drives on the idea. Art in the past, I think, pre-industrial world, you look at it, these are more how good could you get with a technique. And I think a lot of times I have difficulty grasping what's happening with modern art, and we do have critique of that in separate space perhaps, but today it's a lot of the conceptual ideas as opposed to technique-driven work. But what we find is that now we have, at least in my art, the way I look at it is that I've added elements of very vivid colors, a lot of bold work that is involved. It's just a matter of space and how much wall space we have. It's much more, or I would say there's more light. So it doesn't have to be black and white or gold and silver only. It could take many forms and many colors. Yes.
Interestingly, you have a master's in liberal arts, and say a little bit about the intersection between your studies of liberal arts and your art.
Sure. I think that's really where it all started. Liberal arts was mostly for me humanities at large, basically looking at a lot of ideas, a lot of books, and I remember very vividly the first project that I did was about deciphering 6 Arabic standard calligraphy styles. Styles such as Riqa, Nastaliq, Divani, Kufik. These are the traditional styles that you would master before you do anything. So these were the traditional styles, and my concept, my idea, hope was with this graduate studies. I actually was part of my capstone project. Was that to be able to, how we walk into a house and we look at this beautiful Bismillah, Ayatul Kursi, Subhanallah. Although we're able to perhaps read it, we don't know how it's written. We don't know the style. We don't know when it was written. We don't know when how it evolved into such a beautiful script. All that was supposed to be, deciphered in that lecture and that topic, the graduate studies that I did. And so from there, it kind of took off where I started producing work and people started asking me for information. But liberal arts and fine arts, I think there's this involvement of thinking, producing, being creative, and I think so that served me well. Yes.
What's been the response to your art, both in the general public as well as in the Muslim community?
Sure. I think it's been wonderful. I was an artist in residence here in 2015 at the Arts Council of Princeton, and we did, the township, embraced us. They were very open, and it was very beautiful because we're hand in hand. I was introducing art to public school, public library. We're talking about Arabic calligraphy. We're talking about writing how to do Bismillah and things of that nature. And so it was beautiful, and I was able to. And it's not just writing of the letter; it's the ideas behind. So there's a poetry about that we utilized for one of the artworks. Nizar Qabbani is the poet, Syrian poet, and he wrote, in which it means in English, that when I go to the beach and I think of you, had I mentioned to the sea how much I loved you or how much I miss you, the sea would have left its shores, its shells, its fishes, and followed me. The sea would have left everything and followed me had I told the sea how much I love you. How much if I express my emotions. So something like this is so beautiful from our culture, and I think we need to share that. A lot of it was sharing Rumi's poetry. A lot of it was sharing. So art, calligraphy actually enables us to be able to form that link between cultures and traditions and humanity. So and that's what humanity is all about. So the Muslim community, their response has been great. we're again we're at the Muslim Center of Greater Princeton, which we're very thankful for their establishment of a gallery exhibition, and we hope that this is a way of or approach in terms of Islamic centers, Muslim schools, that we actually build exhibitions and galleries just to kind of share this great treasure that we have.
How long is the exhibit running?
So this will be in summertime. So Muslim Center of Greater Princeton, Princeton area, West Windsor, and
On Old Trenton Road.
Old Trenton Road, yes.
Yeah, great. Well, we hope that you all have an opportunity to check it out and to follow Faraz Khan's art in general as well. What's your website that people can go
So
to?
you could go there, FarazKhanArtStudio.com.
All right, well, check it out. Thank you so much for listening.